It's called a warble. It is a MIDI controller. So it's a wireless MIDI controller that allows you to send MIDI data wirelessly. It's going into a small box here. I actually have a very tiny synthesizer here, but it's an Egan Matrix Micro. This is actually a DSP inside a box that is programmed separately by computer using, and it has a structure called the Egan Matrix, which is a fairly involved synthesis method. It's also used in the Haken Continuum and the Expressive E Osmos. So if you're interested in checking out those devices, the idea of them, all those devices are very expressive. So they have a lot of parameters for controlling how the sound is made. In the Continuum, you have control over the Z-axis, pressuring down on a surface, an X-axis, left and right for pitch, and a Y-axis for timbre. That's translating into this device having the X-axis be pitch, what notes I have covered, holes I have covered of this, the Y-axis being the elevation of the unit, and the Z-axis being my breath controlling the loudness. So let me actually pull up a quick sound here. Is it this one? No, this one. Get some volume on it. Excuse me, just as I check my notes, see if I got the right one. Ah, that's why. That wasn't what it said. So what you're getting there is me controlling the volume of that sound and the speed of those repetitions with my breath. I can control the pitch with the with my fingers here. And then I can shake it to get to vibrato. And then I can use the Y-axis to control another timbre parameter. This can further output MIDI controllers for yaw, left and right, and roll. So you have a lot of control that you can put out from a very small piece of hardware, which I find very cool. The question is, can you make that musically expressive? So I'm very big on getting expression out of controllers. And one of the things that's interesting is the Egan Matrix allows programming with different curves and different relationships between the input data that comes in and what it's applied to for the sound. And that's a very important thing, I think, in all of this. So let's see what I can do with this. I'm also running this into a Cosmos drifting delay pedal, which, make sure I erase it, I'm using as a looper. So I can play something and let it continue to loop that. What's also interesting about this one is a looper with 2 buffers on it. So when it repeats, you'll hear, well actually, let me demonstrate real quick here. Come on, better sound. Okay, that's good sound. So you can do things like so that's coming out on the speaker here. Come on, it's okay. We don't bite. So it's repeating. Now come over there. It should come over there. Well, that's kind of interesting. Normally it splits those two. Why it's not doing that, I don't know. But and I can reverse it. So all sorts of different things you can do with this. So I'm going to try and play something using that. I'm just learning this. You know, I never played a tin whistle as a kid, so it's a little interesting as I learn how the fingerings work. The other thing is each one of these sensors is an optical sensor, so it senses the light coming through it. So there are things that are, so it can actually sense how close you are, so you get a little bit more expression there. The weird thing is, in a real tin whistle, you'll feel your breath coming out of that hole, and I don't feel the breath coming out of the hole. So it's all your feel and making sure you got your fingers in the right places. So it's a little tricky there. So let's see what I can do here. Weird stuff you can do with this, but a lot of fun. So next, we have Alan and Denis.
98, 99?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've been in a band for how long?
Ever since.
Ever since.
Well, with a long pause, because it took them 15 years to move up.
Yeah.
Right.
And right now the band is called Fog Lizard.
That,
Yeah.
Yes, and that's not this.
That's not
That's
this.
not this.
This started out as being Dennis and me, and we were called Friends of Harry, because that was my cat. And when people came over to my house to do the sessions, they had to be friends with Harry too.
Or
So,
else, yeah.
because it was his house. So, yeah, so we have a long history of collaborating on things, and going from being an entirely experimental electronic organization to one of us volunteered us to go as a Cheap Trick to play at a Halloween show as a rock band. So we didn't learn any Cheap Trick songs. We made up a half an hour's worth of music and pretended. And oh yeah, we did some of one of their choruses. Anyway, so that made we were a rock band for a long time. But we've been kind of getting back into the more experimental and ambient stuff. And so the first time we had one of these meetings here, I brought something called Korg Little Bits, which are little bits are these like toys for kids that want to be inventors and things, and they're usually, you can build like little robots or some mechanical things, and they stick together with magnets. But they worked with Korg to make a modular synthesizer that you could put together all the little units different ways and get sound. It was really quite remarkable. So I brought that here and I spent some time in order to see if I could get 5 minutes of interesting sounds out of it. And I did, and it was really, so this time it's like, well, how can I build on that? So I wanted to see if I could make something that we could improvise with pretty reliably and include and make kind of full sound. And then talking with Denis, I thought he'd be perfect to add whatever
I'll more.
Yeah, so anyway, so we had a practice at an open mic on Thursday, and it wasn't a terrible disaster, so maybe this won't be a terrible disaster this time.
No guarantees.
Right.
So I'll say, so he's doing all this cool stuff, and all I'm doing is kind of adding vocals, so I just brought this CD player, but it's playing off an MP3, and what I did is I did text to speech. I mean, I've been toying with that for a while. There's so many, free online ones. So it's just kind of, some of it is gibberish, some of it you'll recognize, but so I'm kind of doing vocals over his whatever.
Whatever this is.
Oh, and Eric, a quick question. So are we panned hard left and right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And should we just do a 5-minute thing on that? For the heck of it?
Well,
I'm gonna start it just so we have it.
I automatically do 5 minutes.
You can obviously incorporate the sound if you want.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, we're good to go. Thank you, that was fun.
That's literally became the competition to go end exactly at the 5-minute
Yeah,
time.
we got lucky.
I've been doing it, I did like at least 11 demos over the last few,
Yeah,
this
he
week.
practiced.
And every time I was either